according to reports, threatened.
All right, take a look at this. A document released by the U.S. Department of Justice reveals Jeffrey Epstein was permanently banned from Xbox Live in 2013 for violating its policy on harassment, threats, and abuse. So some people are saying the reason is that. Some people are saying the reason is because he was a registered sex offender. Other people are saying Xbox is owned by Bill Gates, and Bill Gates banned Jeffrey Epstein just to try to get back at him. He banned him from Xbox. But there's a lot more juicy stuff than this. Look at this. Massive breaking. A witness swore under penalty of perjury that Donald Trump threatened a young girl, telling her she could, quote, disappear like another 12-year-old female, and then threatened to kill her entire family, according to Epstein-related court records. This allegation appears in dataset 9 of the Epstein file, and then it has the exact file. This is sworn testimony. If the witness fabricated this account, they would face multiple years in federal prison for perjury. So you have different levels of certainty, right? You have the FBI intake form, which could just be something as simple as a tip, could just be somebody hurling an allegation with no evidence, could be real also, though. But then you have stuff like this, which is a level up in terms of certainty that a person was willing to say this under threat of perjury. All right, more. So somebody emailed, do you happen to have anyone with influence over Assad? And Jeffrey Epstein responded, quote, not for email. So what you're going to see here is Jeffrey Epstein was so immensely connected. He was acting in this weird way as shadow emperor of the world. He had power in virtually every country, one way or another. This is absolutely bonkers stuff here. Let's keep going. Epstein asked the Harvard professor Martin Novak, quote, did you torture her? Did you torture her? And here's the email right here. If you'd like to, you can pause the video and you can see it. Did you torture her? Is what he said. So as I said, going through these files, what became clear to me is that we're not only dealing with a cabal of pedophile billionaire elites who run the world, but many of these people, again, as you'll see, there's reason to believe they're into bestiality, they're into torture, they're into cannibalism, and this extreme wealth that they have, it has rotted their soul and totally blurred the lines between right and wrong, where they act like absolute monsters and animals and dehumanize everybody around them. And there's a lesson in that. There's a lesson in that about billionaires. We shouldn't have any billionaires because apparently they morph into demons when they hit that line of extreme wealth. All right, more. We literally have emails from victims of Epstein stating, quote, the Epstein trafficking ring is still running and being funded today. So you can see it here highlighted in yellow because she was and still is a long-term employee of the Epstein trafficking ring that is still running and being funded today. So this might be another reason why we haven't seen arrests. We haven't seen cases. We haven't seen convictions. It might be the case that there's already deals cut, as was reported the other day, with 29 people who are involved, could be including the 10 co-conspirators. There are already deals cut, and it could be that elements of the cabal, elements of the cartel, are still running today. All right, more. Previously tarnished by accusations, here's a newly released picture of Brett Ratner with his buddy Jeffrey Epstein and two of Epstein's girls/victims. The director of the $40 million Jeff Bezos Amazon Prime Video funded bomb of a documentary disguised bribe, who has been premiering the laughable infomercial with Melania for the past week, is in the Epstein web with Melania and her orange sugar daddy, another sexual predator in the Trump administration. Jeffrey Epstein circle can't make this shit up. Where's MAGA at? So here's the picture. So this guy, the other guy in the picture, the non-Jeffrey Epstein man in the picture, is the guy who directed the new Melania documentary, which absolutely bombed because there's nothing but a fluff piece on her. And I'm sure it's packed full of absolute lies. So not surprising, but like I said, at least 30 people in Trump's inner circle are in the Epstein files. How about this? Talk about my GOAT. Larry Summers emailed Jeffrey Epstein to complain about some of his kids' admiration for Bernie Sanders. So they say Jamaica was very good, kids great, though tired of some of their admiration for Bernie Sanders. How are you? That's what from Larry Summers to Jeffrey Epstein. So the only time our boy Bernie is mentioned is where Larry Summers is shitting on him to the world's most notorious pedophile. Absolutely goated, Bernie Sanders is. Interesting drug price list from the new Epstein file release. So here we have, this was a one-stop shop for all your criminality. If you're a billionaire, or if you're an elite academic, or you know, an elite politician, big time celebrity, this was a one-stop shop for criminality. So you can go down the list here and you see Epstein had access to coke, coke yellow purge, coke pure, ketamine, DMT, LSD, Xanax, Klonopin, Percocet, Vicodin, oxycodone, OxyContin, methadone, morphine, Adderall, MDMA, ecstasy, Cialis, which is Viagra, which, right? So you have this as well. Absolutely horrifying to think about the stuff that was going on that island and at his properties. So here we have another email from Jeffrey Epstein to Redacted. Quote, do you have the photo of you and girls in Paris when you looked fat and R-worded? Could you send? There's bizarre stuff like this littered throughout all of the Epstein files. All right, here is Jeffrey Epstein talking to a huge Democratic donor by the name of Reid Hoffman, who, by the way, has been lying relentlessly about his association with Epstein and trying to pretend like he's exonerated in this when he's not. In the same way that guy on Twitter, @Jason, is also trying to say he's exonerated in this. He is not. None of these people are exonerated. There's emails of all of them, right? So here you have from Jeffrey Epstein to Reid Hoffman, okay, come to the island or the ranch. Let's play. Yikes. You say that with somebody if you're pretty fucking comfortable with that person and you've probably played in the past. There's also, of course, disturbing videos that came out. Ed Krasenstein posted this one. This bizarre video of Jeffrey Epstein chasing girls around his kitchen was released in the latest Epstein files yesterday. Watch this. Again, this is gross. So they were able to, some people were able to find a still shot where you can see a little bit more, and it appears to be a young girl, and she's wearing a robe with nothing underneath. Disturbing. Absolutely disturbing. You could even hear from the laughs that this is somebody who's young. You could even hear from the giggling and the laughter. Jesus Christ. A newly released clip shows Jeffrey Epstein dancing with a redacted girl. I'm going to mute it so we don't get jacked on copyright here. But there's Jeffrey Epstein dancing. The other one is censored a little bit, although you can tell she's wearing some sort of red scarf or something like that. Black pants. Cannot tell the age of this one, but I would not be surprised if this one was also relatively young. So there's stuff like this littered throughout the files. All right, these Epstein emails are horrifying, man. Whatever the DOJ has alleged about this network, it's at least 1,000 times worse. So this is weird to me because on the one hand, you have so many emails where people are openly talking about, torture, and they're openly talking about pedophilia, and then you get stuff like this where they appear to be speaking in code. So from Roy Hodges to Jeffrey Epstein, this is in March of 2013. I wanted to let you know the crew really appreciated the pizza today. Thank you for letting us do that. All right, more. This is better than a Chinese cookie. See attached. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one can understand. So another one here from Redacted to Epstein. You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement? Yeah. That's the pizza. What the fuck? Then underneath here it says, she looks pregnant. Huh? How about this one? From GMax, which is Ghislaine Maxwell to Jeffrey Epstein. Start from the bottom here, and it says, if you are not too busy, click on a video below to watch it. To blank from Jeffrey Epstein. I watched them all. Please don't send any more. And then you have Ghislaine Maxwell chimes in and says, sorry, I have no stomach for even the slightest aggro. I don't have the stomach for it or for any drama, imaginary or real. I'm still fragile off the last one and scared of shadows. What the fuck were these people doing, bro? What were they doing? So that stuff may be code. The pizza stuff might be code. All right, more. Which, by the way, looks like Pizzagate was real, but just not in the way that the right-wingers thought it was, where it was like this democratic network of pedophiles. It turns out that code may be real, but it was projection used by Bannon and Epstein and Trump to try to tar Hillary with all the stuff that they were doing in their social circle. Absolutely incredible. All right, how about this one? Disturbing photos in the Epstein files appear to show Prince Andrew on all fours over a woman lying on the ground. So here you can see this. Very disturbing. Don't know what the hell's going on here, but obviously he's been stripped of his royal titles because of his affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein releases 2020 email references Prince Andrew was accessory to the death of a young girl he tortured and instructed to murder. Excuse me? So if you start at the bottom here, back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl from a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and me to force her murder. I need to get a passport to identify her. I will need someone to contact the passport office to get an expedited passport. What the hell is this? So this is the to and the from are redacted here, but the subject says Ghislaine Maxwell. So this is incredibly bizarre. And then some people were speculating, hey, is this picture tied to that? Right? I don't know if the dates line up, but is this picture tied to that? There's literal allegations of like torture and murder that are in these things here. All right, this one is absolutely crazy. I couldn't even believe this one was real when I saw this. So this guy at Delete Shitcoin on October 28th of 2022 said the following. CIA and Mossad and pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking entrapment blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and Caribbean islands. They're going to frame me with a laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death. So this person said this, and then literally like a couple days later, he was killed. This is absolutely wild. He tweeted this and died from drowning the exact same day. And there's an article about it here in the New York Post. Drowning death of crypto visionary Nikolai Mushegian. Absolutely insane. Posted this, then was killed. And people are saying, look, is this all the evidence of that the cartel is still in existence? They are still in existence. They are still doing their thing. And of course, it's tied into intelligence agencies. Again, that's the part of this so many people are missing too, is that clearly it was a honeypot operation and it was a blackmail operation. But Epstein would freelance for different intelligence agencies. He worked with the KGB, he worked with Mossad, he worked with the CIA, but he had so much dirt on so many people and they could control people with this stuff. So here we have another email from Redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. I simply cannot believe this victory, talking about Trump's win against Hillary. No one called it. We all thought she'd win. You must be happy, though. I remember flying back with Donald on his plane the first weekend I went to visit you in Florida. Was the weekend he met Melania, and he kept on coming out of the bedroom saying, wow, what a hot piece of ass. Nuts. Anyway, hope you're enjoying Saudi. Absolutely insane. By the way, was this in the documentary? I'm just curious. Was this part in the documentary? Did they talk about this part? I'm pretty sure they didn't. How about this one? Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate told the FBI that Epstein was involved in an orgy with Tony Blair during his interview with law enforcement. I would sure like to investigate the origins of this plan to have convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein lead an annual modeling contest for all the top girls of all Russia. Who pitched this idea? And then this is exactly what it is. It's to Epstein from Redacted. And this person is pitching this idea after he was already a convicted pedophile. They say, hey, why don't you come to Russia? We'll set up like a Miss Russia World or something like that. And you could have access to all these girls. What the fuck? So again, tremendous evidence that he's worked with the KGB, Mossad, and the CIA running a blackmail operation, had extreme power and control. So Emily from Breaking Points found this one, unknown sender from Jeffrey Epstein, to Redacted from Jeffrey Epstein. Warm washcloth, loved it. He almost passed out the very instant I applied it. Oh, and the tickle under the you-know-what worked too. Hee hee hee. Thank you again, Jeffrey. All your secret tricks will hopefully land me a man one of these days. Hee hee. Have a great day. What the fuck? What are we looking at here? This one is wild. Just Barack Obama's White House counsel giving Jeffrey Epstein advice on how to answer questions about Donald Trump having sex with a girl at his house. At his house. So this is one of the things that we got from the last Epstein files dump is Trump was outed. This is way before he even ran for president. I believe the year was 2011. Trump was outed in a Jeffrey Epstein email that Epstein thought nobody would ever read, where he casually says, yes, Trump is at the house with one of the victims, and they've been there for hours. And so that without a doubt, that means Epstein's houses were bugged. There's video of Trump doing all sorts of stuff with underage girls. There's video of it. And so this was an instance of Jeffrey Epstein looking for how, and this was on March 30th of 2016. They were trying to navigate, hey, how do we handle it if there are questions about Trump having sex with a girl at my house? Absolutely wild, bro. Just so wild. Midas Touch says, Trump's new pick for Fed chair makes an appearance in today's Epstein files release. They're all, bro, there's dirt on all these people. They're all compromised. They're all blackmailed. And so, like, whose bidding are they doing is the question, right? All right, more. An email from Melania to her dear friend Ghislaine. So this was all the way back in 2002. So Melania says, Dear G, how are you? Nice story about J.E. Jeffrey Epstein in New York Magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you are back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania. So yet again, what people are speculating vis-a-vis Melania is, bro, she came out of this world. Did she directly come out of the world of fucking human trafficking that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in? Was she one of these girls? And we learned this in the last Epstein files dump. He had passports of all of these women from mostly the post-Soviet bloc countries after the Soviet Union collapsed. They used that as basically their hunting grounds for underage girls who they would kidnap and abduct and sell into sex slavery. And did Melania come out of that world? That's the question. And I don't know, man, but I think the answers are kind of clear if you think about it. By the way, the first time Trump and Melania had sex was allegedly on Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile plane, the Lolita Express. Do with that whatever you will. All right, more. Epstein and Ghislaine reminisce about their fossil hunting trip with RFK. So from one of Jeffrey Epstein's other emails, or excuse me, from GMAX to one of Epstein's other emails, which is jevacation@gmail.com. Love that. Didn't we go fossil hunting with him and Bobby Kennedy in North Dakota? Dinosaur and fossil hunting with Jack Horner on the ranch found 90 million year old clams and fossils right up your alley. And so multiple times RFK comes up. He was deeper in this world than anybody realized. And there's even speculation about the wife of his that wound up dead, by the way. There's even speculation about that. How exactly did that happen? The story we were told is that she found Robert F. Kennedy's book about all the affairs he had, which went into excruciatingly lewd detail, and that the wife found it and the wife killed herself. But now people are going back and questioning, is that really what happened? Is that really? Because RFK was running in these circles where murder was nothing. This is the craziest, perhaps, of them all. So, creator and past owner of 4chan, a guy by the name of Chris Poole, known as Moot, was in contact with Epstein and then possibly opened up the board, the Reddit for politics, or the politically incorrect Reddit, this like right-wing giant Reddit, after meeting with him. So people are saying the timeline lines up perfectly where this guy may have created this like online right-wing atmosphere, which birthed Gamergate, which birthed like every, MAGA far-right movement online. It may have literally been a psyop created at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. Sean McCarthy says, pretty stunning. Ghislaine Maxwell was one of the most active and powerful Reddit mods. We learned that in the past. And the politics board is where QAnon was birthed. Among other things, the Epstein network was managing one of the largest online informational warfare ops in history. Bro, if you are on the right, you were fucking psyoped by Jeffrey Epstein to have the politics that you have right now. You were psyoped by Jeffrey Epstein. Breaking, immediately after meeting Epstein, the founder of 4chan launched the politically incorrect subreddit, the subreddit POL, effectively a Nazi forum. Epstein and Maxwell targeted 4chan and Reddit on behalf of Israel. All right, more. Seeing as the 4chan community evolved into the Groypers, and Groypers are the ones now ecstatically praising and defending Epstein, I'd say it might be the most successful Mossad op of all time, apart from JFK. So the 4chan founder Moot is in the Epstein files, and it looks like a meeting with Epstein may have led to the creation of this online right-wing environment which fostered every far right-wing movement and helped to destroy this country. From the Epstein files, in March 2018, Steve Bannon emailed Epstein a Daily Beast article titled, "How Close is Donald Trump to a Psychiatric Breakdown?" Epstein replies that Melania, Netanyahu's indictment, and Jared Kushner's money grubbing are a recipe for tragedy. And this was, again, Epstein was, I believe, arrested in 2019, was killed himself in 2019. I don't think he killed himself. I think Trump murdered him. And here he is in 2018, casually talking to Steve Bannon. One of the other things we learned is how close Sloppy Steve and Jeffrey Epstein were. They would text every day, like a giddy high school couple. They would text all day, every day. All right, more. From the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein was messaging contacts in real time as the Khashoggi story broke and speculating that MBZ set up MBS. Jamal Khashoggi was killed on October 2nd, 2018. By October 12th, the story had become an international crisis. That day, Epstein emailed a contact, "Smells like something bigger to me. I wouldn't be surprised if MBZ set him up." He then messaged someone else, quote, "What I'm told, secondary source, is that one of the assassins put the video on his phone and it was hacked." October 13th, Epstein again, quote, "Can they label him a terrorist? Covert op gone bad? Honey trap Turks? MBZ?" Then the same night, a message to Epstein, quote, "MBZ asked me to come over and see him ASAP, leaving in the morning." Epstein had sources inside the operation. He was speculating the UAE's Mohammed bin Zayed set up the hit to burn MBS, and someone in his circle was being summoned to meet MBZ the next day. A convicted sex trafficker running point on Gulf royal intrigue during an assassination cover-up. That's what was happening. And this is all laid out in this set of emails right here. How the fuck was this guy so connected everywhere? So connected everywhere. Like I said, weird shadow emperor type stuff, pulling the puppet strings behind the scenes. Absolutely incredible. Incredible. All right, more. From Steve Bannon to Epstein 4 months before his death, quote, "We need to work around your 38. First, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist." Again, so many texts between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, Emily from Breaking Points did a whole long thread detailing a lot of the juicy stuff in their back and forths. Okay. Steve Bannon should be like excised from polite society. Nobody should watch his shitty show, The War Room. Everybody should be calling him out as a fraud. He was literally besties with the world's most notorious pedophile child sex trafficker. And now you're supposed to be taken serious like some sort of fucking leader, like some sort of serious political thinker. No, you were in on the conspiracy that you pretend to deride on a daily basis. All right, this is crazy. Richard Branson told Jeffrey Epstein to, quote, "bring his harem" the next time they met, as he gave pedophile PR advice after conviction for procuring minor for prostitution. Like George Carlin famously said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. This is without a doubt a cabal of pedophile billionaire elites who run the world, and they are into disgusting, disgusting stuff, and they dehumanize everybody who doesn't have extreme wealth or power or privilege. How about this? Emails allege that Jeffrey Epstein traveled to Paris with filmmaker Woody Allen in March 2012 for what was described in the correspondence as a pedophile convention. Here's the email right here. Start from the bottom. From Jeffrey Epstein to redacted. Paris with Woody Allen. Sorry for all the typos. And then the response is, for less pedophile convention? I think pedophilie is the plural. So here they are saying, we're at a convention together. I guess it's the pedophile convention because it's me and Woody Allen together, and you know how we are, right? They just say it. They just say it. They just say this stuff out loud sometimes. Half the time they're using the, would you like some pizza and grape soda and Chinese cookie? They're speaking in code. The other half the time they're like, I sure do love pedophilia and torture. Did you torture her? Oh my God, bro. Holy shit. From the Epstein files, Epstein forwarded a blind item about Trump Jr. fucking Hope Hicks to several people. The item was apparently sent to Epstein by Sidney Blumenthal. That's crazy, bro. I think that's Max Blumenthal's dad. That's fucking crazy. So Trump Jr. fucking Hope Hicks. Oh, we got more dirty, dirty stuff like that coming up in just a little bit. You wait for it. Okay, so this story is crazy. So there's this like Norwegian crown princess, and she had a super close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So look at this. The crown princess of Norway was asking Jeffrey Epstein for parenting advice about showing her 15-year-old son naked women. In November of 2012, the crown princess Mette Marit emails Epstein, is it appropriate for a mother to suggest two naked women carrying a surfboard for his wallpaper, I believe it was. And the whole correspondence is here. So bizarre. So bizarre. In 2012, he's already a convicted pedophile. And you're asking a convicted pedophile advice as a mom, hey, can I show my son naked girls? Can I do that? What the fuck is this? Ready? So we get, so the son whose mother asked Jeffrey Epstein about naked women wallpaper is the same man now on trial for raping 4 women. In 2012, Crown Princess Mette Marit emailed Epstein, quote, is it inappropriate for a mother to suggest 2 naked women carrying a surfboard for my 15-year-old son's wallpaper? Epstein, a convicted sex offender at the time, told her to let him decide. That son, Maurice Borg Hoiby, now faces 38 criminal charges, including 4 counts of rape. The trial starts Tuesday. Historians called this the biggest scandal in Norway's 120-year royal history. That was before the Epstein files showed his mother appears over 1,000 times, visiting his Palm Beach house, which was bugged, taking his parenting advice, and having his staff arrange her flights and drivers. Again, stop and think about this. How is this man he's tied in hardcore with British royalty through Prince Andrew, tied in super close with Norwegian royalty. What did they do to this poor kid that they fucked him up this much? Where now he's the criminal of all criminals and he's like raping women left and right, and find out his mom was emailing Epstein, had a close relationship with Epstein. What the fuck did they do to this kid? Was this kid ever on the island? And why is it that all these people with immense wealth and immense privilege, they're all involved in this ring? It is so fucking bizarre. It is so bizarre. All right, speaking about people with immense wealth and power, casual email from Sultan bin Sulayem. Every married man keeps wondering every evening, should I go out and look at what I cannot fuck, or stay home and fuck what I don't want to look at? This is an email from Sultan bin Sulayem to Jeffrey Epstein in May of 2012. Absolutely insane. Here's another one Emily found. Sender unknown on this one. It says, this is an email to Epstein. Do you mind if I fuck someone with a condom? Bitch, what? What are we even looking at? This is raising more questions than it's answering. How about this one? Jeffrey Epstein, quote, animals are fun to watch. Sometimes. Peter Thiel sends a creepy smiley face. Let me repeat that. Epstein says in 2018 to Peter Thiel. Remember, Peter Thiel went on Rogan's show and said, who, me, bro? I just knew Epstein, but I only asked him tax advice or whatever, bro. No big deal. Really? So here he is. From Epstein to Peter Thiel, animals are fun to watch sometimes, and Peter responds with a creepy-ass smiley face. That's great. That's not a sign that he's into bestiality and Lord knows whatever else. This is from The Athletic. Breaking news. Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein connected New York Giants chairman and co-owner Steve Tisch with multiple women, according to newly released emails. Tisch received scouting reports on women from Epstein, and the two men discussed whether women were pro or civilian or a working girl. The emails sent in 2013 were among more than 3 million Epstein-related documents that the Department of Justice released Friday. There are also emails between Epstein and women who wrote about their encounters with Tisch. Holy shnikes. In the Epstein files, Lord Mandelson, the UK's former ambassador to the US, standing in his underwear, talking to a young woman who is wearing a white bathrobe. Lord Mandelson said that the peer had no recollection of the photograph being taken and had no idea where it was taken or who had taken it. So this guy, by the way, I believe he had to resign from his position in the UK Labour Party because he was super duper close with Epstein and Maxwell. And all these people, they were engaged in some jack nasty ass shit, y'all. An email exchange involving Jeffrey Epstein shows how casually threats of violence were discussed after accusations that a third party had lied. Redacted sender to Epstein, quote, I give you permission to kill him. He is apparently with Olga. He lied to you and he lied to me. Jeffrey Epstein, whoops. Redacted sender, no one will lie to you and get away with it from me. No one. Whoops is correct. So again, what we're looking at here is pedophilia, bestiality, torture, sexual torture, cannibalism, murder, all casually discussed. And this one was in 2014, by the way, that they were having this conversation. More. Jeffrey sharing some of his favorite Bible verses. So here is Epstein in 2014, and two redacted from Epstein, and he goes through his favorite Bible verses here, and oh, would you look at that? All of them are the most psychopathic Bible verses that are out there. Quote, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. Thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly. Thus said the Lord God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate through the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and seest amongst the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldst have her to thy wife. So it's basically like pillage, murder, and rape. Do that. That's what we want you to do. That's what God wants you to do. By the way, there's also a disturbing number of correspondence in the files that have come out where clearly Jeffrey Epstein was a Jewish supremacist, where he would always talk about the goyim, which is basically like the infidels, but for Judaism, the people who are not the chosen people, the people that are not Jewish. And he clearly believed in race science, more on that in a little bit. And he clearly put himself at the top of the hierarchy, and he would talk about, the goyim who are less than human. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, crazy stuff. Epstein's sex empire was a KGB honey trap. Pedophile financier had multiple talks with Putin after conviction, with Russian girls flown in to harvest compromat on world-famous figures. So understand something, and this is not surprising, but it's what's happening. You do have, the Western media is not afraid to talk about the KGB links when it comes to Epstein, which are true, which are real, but they will not, with a 10-foot pole, touch the claims about how he's a Mossad agent. The fact of the matter is, he's worked with the CIA, Mossad, and the KGB. He was a freelancer, and he had all this dirt running a blackmail honeypot operation, and he worked with a number of different intelligence agencies. So, but they're only going to focus on one because they don't want to besmirch Israel in the West. So absolutely, absolutely crazy stuff. All right, more. An extremely personal email from Jeffrey Epstein. This reads like a drunk breakup text to another man. So this was written in 2012. Look at this. Josh, you asked me to share your life with you. I excitedly accepted. I shared my highs, my lows, my dreams, my body, every single part of my body. You came home from work telling me you earned millions of dollars, then fought, screamed with me over 5,000. You wanted peace and quiet. You demanded I share the peace, but withheld the prosperity. You told me often how much I cost you, how expensive I was. It showed little respect to the both of us, but I love you and overlooked it. And you asked me to violate a basic conviction of mine and have an abortion. What the fuck is this? Your mother said it would be in your best interest if I did. You now asked why you should be ashamed now that it is the high holy days. It's simple. You behave just like the goyim. See, what I was just talking about. You do not respect. After the holidays, I will be willing to share a meal. No sex, none. I love you. My Jewish study said that at 13, you should become a man. It's not too late. So, 2 redacted from Jeffrey Epstein in September of 2012. So fucking bizarre. So fucking bizarre all this stuff is. Jeffrey Epstein funded a white supremacist YouTube channel. Can't make it up. So, Jean-Francois Gariepi is a Canadian neuroscience and far-right political commentator. He's been in YouTube circles for a long time. There's actually a clip of him talking to Richard Spencer back in the day where he says to Richard Spencer, full disclosure, I got $25,000 from Jeffrey Epstein. And then as Aquila says here, don't even look up his wife that went missing / is dead, talking about Jean-Francois Gariepi. But here you have Jeffrey Epstein funding race science peddlers, junk race science peddlers. That's what he's doing. This one is crazy. Shout out to Jeet here for this. The new batch of Epstein documents helps illuminate one contemporary controversy. What is Barry Weiss up to at CBS? I think the answer is she is trying to rehabilitate the Epstein network as a bulwark of reactionary centrism. Let me explain. Let's lay out the connections. Barry Weiss's partner and ideological collaborator, Nellie Bowles, was on very familiar terms with Epstein. And there's countless emails with Bowles and Epstein going back and forth. And Bowles is from a very wealthy, prominent family, okay? And so here's just one of the emails. Announcing her plans for CBS, Weiss said she wants to marginalize the radical right and left while elevating charismatic centrist voices such as